Hey, this is Tina from Inner Delight, and welcome back to another Joyful Connections episode. And I'm delighted to be spending some time here today with Mark Landau, all the way from Santa Fe in New Mexico. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay, it's so great. We were having a conversation before we started, and gosh, what a fascinating story you have to share. 'Cause you were mentioning how you've been on this spiritual journey for a very long time, and there was several key turning points. One of them being in 2002, and then just after your 66th birthday, right?
That's correct, yes.
Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Um, in 2002, I was in South Africa. I had spent a year there and a month in Botswana. And I had worked all my life on healing and awakening myself and others in a variety of different ways. I had many techniques. At that point, I was mostly doing something called DNA activation. And I had a book published in South Africa, and I was starting to have a spiritual following. I had worked with thousands of people around the world. But even though I had gone through the most fabulous, amazing experiences, I worked very closely with the founder of Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. For 5 years, I was his personal assistant and many other things in the TN movement. And I had sat and worked with 4 other teachers. And I had fabulous breakthroughs, epiphanies, spiritual experiences, and tremendous success, I guess you'd call it, working with a lot of other people and helping them healing and in spiritual ways. But I still knew that inside I myself was a mess. I was not whole. I was not healed. I was not enlightened. I was living a fair amount from my ego and a fair amount from my shadow, I would say. Although I had many years and long periods of bliss, it wasn't fully grounded and whole and integrated. I was fractured, and I knew it. So I started to pull back, and then I completely stopped all healing work with other people in 2007. I pulled back in 2002, did less and less and less and less and less, and then completely stopped everything in 2007, and just decided some people are just too damaged. No matter how much they do, me being one of them, it just wasn't going to happen in this life because they were just too damaged in this life. Because I had done so much with myself and with other people, with everything that I found that I felt drawn to. So I got real world jobs, and I worked one job after another, and I did okay. I made more and more money as I did it. But it wasn't my life's work. I still worked on myself. And then I lost my job in June of 2001. 2011. And I had become very isolated because I wasn't working with people. And I decided to come out of isolation. And at that point, I think some divine orchestration kicked in, and I started being guided. And I decided to go to a men's group, a circle of equal men, no leader, no money. It sounded good, and I had never related all that well with men. And so I went to that, and they had all done a 3-day weekend, the New Warrior Training Adventure. It was the Mankind Project, men who had gone through these things. So to be in the group and to be an equal, I went to it, thinking I wouldn't get a whole lot out of it. But I did. It was like a deeper initiation into male maturity and into living archetypes that actually affected your existence. And some of the best shadow work I had ever experienced that really had an impact on me. So I was delighted and surprised and glad. But then something happened shortly after that. It happened the day after my 66th birthday. An old friend from South Africa sent me the link to Drunvalo Melchizedek interview. And I knew about him. I knew about him for 3 or 4 decades. I had friends who studied with him. I was never drawn to study with him directly, but I liked a lot of the things he said, and I just decided I'd listen to this interview, even though I knew most of what he would usually talk about. And for the first hour, nothing happened. I didn't learn much, but I was listening and glad I was. And then in the last 15 minutes, he brought out two things. The one thing he said was, after the ascension, our hearts will know what to do. And that kind of went deep in me. It's something I kind of knew in my own way. But, just when he said it, in that moment, I felt it in my being. And then he talked about a psychiatrist or psychologist named Jim Hart, who was working with Native American chiefs and elders in Canada and getting great results helping them heal with forgiveness and getting them to forgive everything about everything that ever happened to their people and them and everything else. And so I meditate every night. I meditate three times a day. And so I went to meditate that night, and I let my heart lead, knowing that it would know what to do if I did. And I started working with something around forgiveness, and then love came in. And I feel like I was divinely guided, that this was a co-creation between me and God and the universe and the divine. And I started trying to formulate it, and I hadn't been using mantra meditation for a long time. I had done many different other meditations, including just what I called sitting in samadhi. But I started to formulate a kind of mantra and then hone it down and work with it until it seemed to be as good as it could possibly be. And what it was very simple. I love you and forgive you. 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 And what happened that night for 5 hours straight was that my little self stepped aside. I wasn't trying to manufacture love and forgiveness from the small self. My higher self took over and started delivering the essence, the most potent aspects of those two energies, which I now consider to be the two most potent healing energies. Love heals, forgiveness heals for everything that needs it. And that's exactly what happened. For 5 hours, love and forgiveness went into every nook and cranny of my existence and healed pretty much everything in me that I had never been able to heal in all the work that I had done for 49 years. And when I woke up, I went to sleep eventually, after about 5 hours, give or take. And when I woke up, I was completely different. I was more different than I had ever been in all of my existences, I would say, but certainly in this life. And it felt exactly the way they talk about enlightenment in India. I felt like I had been born again. I had been twice born. And I was, free. I was full of bliss. I was happy. All this love was fountaining through me. And I was whole. And I wasn't in my shadow or living in shadow anymore. And I knew this was completely different than any breakthrough or epiphany I had ever experienced. And I knew it was grounded and whole and healed and real. And, I had to, say to myself, okay, I know this is different. And I know this isn't going away, but, you have to see over time how long this is going to last. But I knew I would never go back, and I haven't. Yeah. And it's unbelievable.
Well, the beauty there is that it's also the name of a book that you've written, right? But it's like,
yes,
when I hear you speak, it's like, well, what feels like everything was like a lead up, so preparation almost, to let you get out of the way so that you could come in and show up.
That's true. There's truth to that. But I had known how to get out of the way for many things for decades. Mm-hmm. I had known my shadow. inside and outside. My first path of trying to heal myself was 3 times a week therapy when I was 17 years old. So and I did psychiatric therapy, for 4 years all through college as well, besides in high school. And I had done many, many other things. And when I did my healing work, when I did DNA activation, I would completely step aside and let the higher dimensional help and the energies do the work. It wasn't me being a healer. I could never heal anybody. It was the higher dimensional energies and devas, healing angels, that came in and actually did the work, and that's why it was so effective. And miracles happen. People who can get pregnant got pregnant. People were healed of all kinds of things, and it was me stepping aside, and I knew how to step aside.
So
But then
what made this different for you?
What made it different, and I don't know how to say it any better than this, I wish I did. What made it different is that instead of going for transcending or enlightenment or self-realization or, siddhis or powers or any of the other things, I set up the preconditions. I hit on the formula that allowed me to set up the preconditions so that true healing energy in the deepest places of the deepest kind of meditation could work their wonder. And as you said, it wasn't me doing it. It was, in my experience, my higher power took over. But I had never worked with love and forgiveness. For me, it would have been like a contemplation, thinking about love and thinking about forgiveness, trying to manufacture them, but it wasn't anything like that. But I believe now that those really are the truest healing energies that there are, love and forgiveness. Even though, we're already forgiven, we have no one to forgive, no one ever did anything to me. I never did anything to anyone. We're all one. How can there be forgiveness? But we have these wounded areas inside that need those things. They need love and they need forgiveness. And in my experience, almost nothing else will actually help fully heal them so that we can reintegrate and become whole. So this was really the first time that those elements came together. Very simple, so simple. You say, well, how could it really do anything? But for me, that's what did everything. And it was that I without even fully precognizing or thinking about it, I somehow, with divine help, found a way to set it up so that the deepest levels of meditation and the two most healing energies, love and forgiveness, could combine in a way that my higher power could take over and deliver it where it was really needed in every nook and cranny of my being. And that's exactly what happened, and that's the only thing that did it. Beautiful. So yes, I started writing the very next day. I purchased iloveyouandforgiveyou.org. And I started writing for the website. I didn't start writing my book right away, but I started writing for the website because I knew I had what at least I was looking for all my life, and nothing else had done it. And I also believed that it could help many other people as well.
Beautiful. So can I ask, because you said before that this happened right after your 66th birthday, right? This experience.
Correct.
So what a
That's correct.
Beautiful birthday gift.
Unbelievable. It was such a sweet thing. The link to the Drunvalo Melchizedek interview was sent to me on my birthday, and I didn't watch it until the next day, the 29th. My birthday was April 28th. And that night, the night of the 29th and 30th is the night it all happened.
Beautiful.
you
Gosh, I
know.
know we're going to be talking more about what the actual process is about, or you'd like to share a bit more about that in our next interview, in our next video. And so, can you share with people where they can find the information about you and where they can also purchase the book?
Yes. They can do both at the website that I just mentioned. It's iloveyouandforgiveyou.org. Only one I, because there's only one I, and multiple yous, two yous, because there are an infinite number of yous out there that need to be healed and helped to become whole, including parts of the collective that come through us. This radiates out of you when you do it, so it helps the entire environment. So both the book and I offer this meditation to everyone for free, absolutely for free. I couldn't put a price on it. I would love if you would buy my book. It would help the world. It would help me. But the meditation is free at the site, which is iloveyouandforgiveyou.org. And on the homepage, there's a link that says something, full of hubris, because I still have old patterns and kind of love that kind of stuff. It says something like, buy the book, transform the world. And you just click on that link and it'll take you to the book. And it's available through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kindle, iBook, ebook, hardcover, softcover. And I will be coming out with another book very soon as well.
Wonderful. Well, Mark, it's a joy to connect with you, and I'm so glad to be hearing about this and sharing this message into the world for those who resonate and are drawn to it. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for doing this. I'm very grateful to you.
You're very welcome. And until the next time, many joyful blessings.
Thank you, and you too.